Hello, I'm Jennifer Gallegos, and we are more familiar with the practice of genetically modifying plants as well as other foods for our consumption than we think. Many of us are introduced to the concept of modifying plants to ensure the characteristics we deem favorable are seen when we learn about Gregor Mendel in our basic biology classes. We are taught that Mendel sought certain characteristics such as varying colors as well as pod shape from pea plants and bred them in order to achieve this. More recently, we have genetically modified organisms to yield greater results in the amount we are able to grow, as well as increasing the size of the plant itself to feed more people. Although genetically modifying food may appear to have some benefits that make it seem like a godsend, my claim is that genetically modified foods have a significant negative impact on all organisms. I will support this claim by going into detail about how, one, genetically modified foods cause harm to other humans or other organisms that consume them, as well as harm on the modified organism itself. Two, how the genetically modified foods have a negative impact on the environment in which they are grown. And finally, how genetically modified foods affect the farmers or people that grow them. My first supporting claim, again, is that genetically modified food cause harm to humans. According to data provided by the USDA Economic Research Service in the year 2012, 88% of all corn in the U.S. was genetically engineered, 94% of all cotton plants had been genetically modified, and 93% of all soybeans were of GE varieties. All of these foods play a major role in the American diet in one way or another, and as the percentage of genetically engineered food increases, so do allergies to some of these foods. Stated in the newsletter Spilling the Beans, written by Jeffrey M. Smith, when a food is modified, it is often combined with genes of another plant that will yield favorable results. When this occurs, a new protein is formed and introduced to the body after consumption. Because it is a protein that has not been encountered by the body before, the body seeks to destroy the foreign protein by producing antihistamines. Additionally, the splicing of organisms may also lead to an increase in toxicity of the plant or food organism that may lead to potential future health risks for those who consume them. For example, studies demonstrate that there is a decrease in nutritional value of genetically modified foods. Specifically stated in an article written by Anita Bakshi entitled Potential Adverse Health Effects of Genetically Modified Crops, milk from cows injected with gamma bovine growth hormone contains higher levels of fat and bacteria and can therefore go sour faster. My second supporting claim is that genetically modified foods have a negative environmental impact. It is feared that during times of pollination, genetically modified plants will cross-pollinate with native plant species of the area. This could occur between the plant and a weed, or another plant used in the agricultural production, or even native plant species. This may yield harmful results for the environment in that it may create an entirely new invasive species in the area that will disrupt the natural order. Stated in the article entitled Genetically Modified Foods, Harmful or Helpful, written by Deborah B. Whitman, an additional concern is that crop plants that have been engineered for herbicide tolerance in weeds will crossbreed. This would result in the transfer of the herbicide resistance gene, BT, from the crops into weeds, making it hard for the herbicides to do the intended function. This would also result in the need for more herbicides to do what they have originally been, or what have originally taken one spray for an entire season. As more plants become genetically modified, there is less chance for species that originated in the areas where they are going to thrive, which may be a result of cross-pollination. Because the genetically modified food has favorable and dominant traits, it will essentially cause the original plant to become similar to the GMF. My final supporting claim is that genetically modified foods also affect those who grow them negatively. For example, many farmers who grow genetically modified foods sign strict contracts stating that the seeds they are growing are only intended for growing that one season. The farmers buy a certain amount of seeds and are expected to yield enough of the crop to essentially replace the cost of the seed. Because companies such as Monsanto have monopolies over the patent in crops, if a farmer saves some of the seeds or spills any and forgets about them, the company will sue the farmer for attempting to steal the product. This poses a problem because it doesn't allow farmers to stockpile or prepare for the next season. They're essentially living season to season. Deborah Whitman explains that farmers would need to buy a fresh supply of seeds each year. This, however, would be financially straining for farmers such as those in developing countries who cannot afford to buy seeds each year. And usually and usually set aside a portion of the crop for the next growing season. Additionally, stated in the book Mendel in the Kitchen, a scientist's view of genetically modified foods by Nina V. Federoff and Nancy M. Brown, by saving or selling seed, or even by failing to weed out those seeds that escaped the harvest and sprouted as volunteers the next season, they can bring on Monsanto's private investigators. Furthermore, because many of these farmers have no choice but to grow and sell these plants and engineered foods, they must sign contracts and sometimes take loans in order to buy the seeds, meaning that they are in debt prior to even harvesting or planting the crop. In conclusion, 1. Genetically modified food causes harm to humans. 2. GMFs have negative environmental impact. And 3. GMFs affect those who grow them negatively. These all contribute to my main claim that genetically modified foods have a significant negative impact on all organisms. Thank you.
Jennifer, you identify the proposition very clearly near the beginning of the speech. That's fine. The secondary points are labeled. It is a little awkward in the preview that you have an explanation of the first point before you've even gotten to it. So I think you want to keep the labels clear in the preview and then explain what it is you're talking about, what this issue is as you get to that first point. The background information was okay as an attention device. That was fine. Obviously, there's controversy on this because people are writing about it and they're concerned about it. What I don't have is any example of the kinds of harms that are being described that are currently going on. Mostly this seems like it's speculative, so these are claims of future fact that these problems are going to occur as opposed to a demonstration of present fact that they are in fact occurring. There's a little bit on the allergy thing that I think deals with the notion that these things are occurring. So that part fits into that category, but for instance, everything else seems very speculative, especially on that third point concerning the marketing of the seeds and all of the potential liabilities or economic issues that could ensue. Some of the evidence that you cite, and by the way, you do a good job giving us the source citations on all that evidence, but some of it basically, they are making claims in the evidence and they're not offering any proof for those particular claims, and so we're going to have to rely on the authority of those folks, and sometimes we just get names. We don't know who these people are that are writing the articles or being quoted here and what the basis for their being able to make this inference is. So if you're going to ask us to accept something on authority, you need to build up the authority of some of those people a little bit more. Or conversely, you need to have some practical experimentation or examples that show that these things have in fact happened rather than just the speculation about what potentially could happen. And that was the main issue that I saw, that it's really dependent on speculation about what could happen. Without any practical examples, then the issue becomes, is it in fact problematic? And given that you had large numbers of soybeans and corn products that are genetically modified, why is it that we haven't seen some of those problems cropping up as a result of that? I think that you need a little bit of information on that. Now, there's probably some stuff out there, maybe all that gluten stuff that people are responding to as a result of that kind of allergy due to GMOs. I don't know. All right.